Now for our feature story of the day. America is embracing Bitcoin big time. There's now 22 states officially adopting the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill. So let's break this one down. As you can see here in this chart posted by the Bitcoin magazine, here are the states. We have Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Massachusetts, Florida, Arizona, Alabama, Utah, Kansas, South Dakota, Nebraska, Illinois, Indiana, Montana, Missouri, New Mexico, Iowa, and Kentucky. Which state will it be first? Yesterday I read some stories where they say it's going to be Utah, Mormon land. But what are your thoughts on that? And you can see the United States map here. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. What do you think will be the last state to adopt Bitcoin? If I was to guess, I'd say like New York or something like that. They're just behind the times when it comes to the financial landscape. I mean, it's so controlled, but nonetheless, I digress. You guys let me know what you think. I mean, half the country, that's a W. And also, as Vivek shared here, the state of Texas to buy up to $500 million worth of Bitcoin every year. That's $500 million every year. No one is bullish enough. But of course, that's if the bill gets approved. But do you think the bill is not going to get approved when you have half the states in the U.S. all racing for Bitcoin adoption? I mean, who's going to get left behind? Anyone that doesn't have the Bitcoin bill. Which leads us to our next story. Florida Senator Gruters. And I wonder, is he... okay, I don't know this guy personally, but nonetheless, he proposes the Bitcoin investment bill for the state funds. That's right. Florida Republican Senator Joe Gruters has introduced a bill proposing the investment as part of the state's funds into Bitcoin and other digital assets to counter the rising inflation. We know inflation is no joke. It follows a string of other U.S. states recently moving towards the same goal. Quoting him here, the state should have access to tools such as Bitcoin to protect against inflation. Inflation has eroded and the purchasing power of assets held in the state funds managed by the chief financial officer. Couldn't agree more. And for those that don't know, the US dollar is mathematically guaranteed to continue to decrease your purchasing power because they're guaranteed to continue printing money. Bitcoin has the opposite effect, the polar opposite. Bitcoin is mathematically guaranteed to increase your purchasing power against the dollar because there is a finite limit of supply and they can't print more of it. Gruters highlighted major asset management firms such as BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin, already adopting the BIDI and viewing it as a hedge against inflation. Along with Bitcoin having greatly risen in value, becoming more widely accepted as the international medium of exchange, and reasons Florida should consider investigating state funds, or investing, I should say, into the asset class. And I think it's just a matter of time. We also know DeSantis, governor, very bullish on the BIDI as well, and anti-CBDC alongside the Trumpster. Gruters proposed allowing Florida's chief financial officer, Jimmy Patronis, to invest Bitcoin into the state general reserve fund, the budget stabilization fund, and the various other agency trust funds. Invested into everything. Why don't you? However, he said the BIDI holdings to any account should be capped at 10%. Meanwhile, Wyoming's comparable recent proposed bill limits allocations no more than 3%. So Florida's 3 times more bullish than Wyoming. That's a W. It comes only months after Patronis, it sounds like the drink Patron, wrote a letter urging the Florida Board of Administration to consider adding the BIDI to the state's retirement fund investments. That's another big one there. Bitcoin is often called digital gold and could help diversify the state portfolio and provide a secure hedge against the volatility of other major asset classes. Facts. And just a day before Gruters' filing, Kentucky became the 16th U.S. state to introduce legislation, as we covered in yesterday's pod, aiming to establishing a Bitcoin reserve. The bill, KYHB 376, introduced by Kentucky State Representative Theodore Joseph Roberts on February 6. And if passed, it would authorize the State Investment Commission to allocate up to 10% of excess state reserves into the digital assets, including the King BTC. So what are your thoughts? 22 states adopting the Bitcoin. The state proposing the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill. Do you think the state adoption will occur first before the nation state adoption from the Trumpster? I think it looks that way, but you guys let me know your thoughts, and welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream as the crowd continues to go wild. There's a fiesta in 5 more hours. Hide your kids, hide your wives, hide your cats, hide your dogs. McFoofinator is back. Hodl Gang, thank you, brother. You get a gong strike for that. Appreciate the support. All the memberships to the channel. Thank you, guys, especially McFoofinator.